What if the end of the world didn't begin with explosions, but with a simple message saying, "Thank you for 39 wonderful years." No warnings, no explanations, just collapsing cities, vanishing stars, and one mysterious name appearing everywhere: Chuck. In today's video, we're breaking down a deeply emotional and mind-bending movie that isn't really about the apocalypse. It's about life, memory, regret, and the world inside one man's mind. Watch till the end, because the final reveal will completely change how you understand everything you just saw. The movie begins inside a classroom, where a teacher named Marty notices that his students are unable to focus. Their attention keeps drifting toward the windows every time they hear fire trucks or police sirens passing by outside. The children mention that California has been struck by yet another earthquake, and a large portion of the city has been submerged. Marty attempts to check the news, but the internet connection is down. Soon after, he tries to contact the parents of all his students, but due to the lack of internet access, he is unable to do so. Panic and confusion spread everywhere. Marty has the students' records, but that alone isn't enough, and without the internet, everyone begins to feel as if the world itself is collapsing. As Marty leaves the school, he gets caught in heavy traffic because the traffic signals are no longer working. On the way, he notices a billboard above a bank displaying the image of an accountant named Chuck, along with the message, "Thank you, Chuck, for 39 wonderful years." Shortly after, reports from across the globe start coming in. Oceans are slowly consuming land, volcanoes are erupting, forests are burning uncontrollably, and a massive tsunami is on its way. In China, people have already begun fighting each other. Meanwhile, the story shifts to Marty's ex-wife, who works as a nurse in a hospital. Over the past few weeks, several hospital staff members have taken their own lives. Watching her co-workers die day after day has deeply affected her mental health. She steps into the restroom to take a short break, and once again, the same news plays on the radio, Chuck's voice saying, "Thank you, everyone, for 39 wonderful years." A co-worker then asks her whether marriage is easier or divorce. She replies that marriage can happen in an hour, but divorce takes months. Later that night, she calls Marty and tells him she has been thinking about him all day. She wonders if couples are getting back together after separating, because in times of crisis, people want to stay close to one another. She also tells him that some of her co-workers have quit their jobs just to spend time with their families. Marty responds by saying that he too has very few students left now, and he begins talking about the cosmic calendar and the history of humanity. She then mentions seeing the Chuck advertisement, and Marty admits that he saw it as well. Both of them are confused about who is putting up these ads and what they mean. Neither of them knows who Chuck is. After the call ends, Marty tries to watch television, but soon the signal cuts out, just like the internet earlier. After a moment of darkness on the screen, Chuck's face suddenly appears, and a man behind him announces, "Thank you for 39 wonderful years, Chuck." Then the signal disappears again. The next morning, Marty notices that his neighbor isn't using her car. She explains that she has to walk 3 miles to and from work because a massive sinkhole has formed on the road. The hole is so large that it has split the city in two, swallowing cars and even entire buildings. Because of the heavy traffic on the remaining roads, Marty realizes it might be noon before he even reaches school. They talk about the current state of the world. Only 10% of California remains. One part is on fire, another is underwater, and countless cities have already been destroyed. Diseases are spreading rapidly, killing people, while animals and birds are dying off in large numbers. Later, Marty sees his neighbor returning home, unable to go to work. The sinkhole has swallowed her vehicle, and even the building where she used to work. Marty speaks with one of his wife's friends who used to work at a bank and asks her about the Chuck sign, but she doesn't know anything about it. Everywhere he goes, people look hopeless and broken. His neighbor explains that everyone is in shock. At first, there were protests, riots, and violence, but when nothing changed, people accepted their fate. Now, they're simply waiting for the world to end. During this conversation, an airplane flies overhead, writing "Thanks, Chuck" across the sky. On her way to work, Marty's wife notices countless graffiti messages with Chuck's name painted on walls everywhere. When she reaches the hospital, she finds it completely empty. No doctors, no nurses, no patients. Yet all the heart monitors are still on, and every screen shows the exact same heartbeat, as if they are all connected to a single person. Meanwhile, Marty grows increasingly worried because the television still has no signal. When he tries to call his wife, he realizes the phone lines are also down. He decides to go out and find her himself. As he moves through the city, he sees abandoned cars and more posters of Chuck everywhere. He meets an elderly man sitting on a bench and asks if he knows who Chuck is, but the man says he doesn't. He's asked many people, yet no one seems to know. Since the old man is heading in the same direction, they walk together for a while, talking about life and how limited a person's time truly is. Eventually, the old man's legs begin to hurt, and he sits down to rest on a bench, watching the sunset as Marty continues his journey alone. Marty finally reaches his wife's neighborhood, where he meets a young girl who recognizes his wife's name and says she has always been kind to the neighborhood children. The girl is skating because she wants to enjoy herself before the world ends. Suddenly, the power goes out across the entire neighborhood. Marty tells the girl to go home and stay safe. At that very moment, Chuck's advertisements appear in every window of every house, making the neighborhood look eerie and haunted. Panicked, Marty runs until he finally finds his wife. They embrace and reunite. He asks her about the ads, but she has no idea how they appeared. At the same time, 39-year-old Chuck is shown lying sick and extremely weak, connected to a heart monitor that displays the same heartbeat seen earlier in the hospital. His wife and son sit beside him, crying, knowing that his time is almost over. Marty and his wife step outside and look up at the sky. With the power gone, the stars shine brighter than ever. Holding hands, they point out different stars to each other. Suddenly, one star disappears, then another. Slowly, all the stars vanish from the sky. As this happens, Chuck's wife and son say goodbye and thank him for his 39 wonderful years. Marty tries to tell his wife that he loves her, but before he can finish, everything fades to black. The world is swallowed by darkness, as if everything has come to an end, the end of the world. The timeline then jumps back several years. Before the world ended, a young musician worked at a record store. She loved music so deeply that she often set up her drum kit on busy street corners and played for passers-by. Occasionally, people gave her tips, but this rarely happened. Meanwhile, a young writer walks home feeling angry and heartbroken because her friend ended their relationship with just a single message. After collecting herself, she decides that her life isn't over and that there is still much more ahead. She reflects that she used to be a dancer, and now she's a writer, believing she will have better plans for the future. At the same time, Chuck is in the city attending a banking conference. He is a successful accountant at a major bank, loyal to his wife, proud of his intelligent son, and outwardly accomplished. However, he is deeply unhappy. His job bores him, and he despises other accountants. When the musician notices Chuck walking by looking miserable, she starts playing an energetic tune to lift his spirits. Surprisingly, Chuck stops, hesitates, and then begins dancing. A crowd gathers, including the writer, who desperately needs something positive in her life. She joins in, dancing as well. Chuck pulls her forward, and together they dance joyfully to the musician's rhythm. Soon, Chuck develops a headache, which he assumes is caused by his glasses. He removes them and continues dancing. The crowd enjoys the performance so much that they fill the musician's hat with money. Later, the three of them sit together at a cafe, where the musician splits the money equally. Chuck looks unwell, but he insists that he's fine. When asked what made him dance, Chuck says he doesn't know. Memories of his old band and his past as a dancer suddenly came flooding back. After the musician leaves, hugging them both goodbye, Chuck and the writer go for a walk. She opens up about her broken relationship, and Chuck reassures her that things will get better. After they part ways, Chuck notices a child skating nearby, and even that empty corner makes him wonder why he felt compelled to dance earlier. Eventually, his illness worsens to the point where he can no longer walk or sit. He remembers that dance and realizes that perhaps this joy is the reason the world exists, to experience happiness before everything ends. When Chuck was 7 years old, he lived with his grandparents after his parents were killed in a car accident. Tragically, his mother had been pregnant at the time. The house remained filled with sorrow for a long time. His grandfather coped by drinking and burying himself in accounting, while his grandmother gave up cooking and daily routines. When Chuck turned 10, things improved slightly. His grandmother began cooking again and dancing to music, often making Chuck dance with her. This is how Chuck developed his remarkable dancing skills. They watched many movies together, especially those featuring dance scenes. The house became Chuck's true home, except for one forbidden place: the cupola on the roof. His grandparents warned him that the floor was weak and that there was nothing up there. Chuck once tried to open the locked door, but failed. The night before his 11th birthday, Chuck and his drunk grandfather watched a documentary about the cosmic calendar. Chuck asked about the cupola, and his grandfather said it was a place where strange things could be seen, ghosts of people who were still alive, appearing before their deaths. He said waiting for death is the hardest part. When Grandma returned, she dismissed Grandpa's words, saying he was drunk. Later, Chuck asked a neighbor about Grandpa's past, believing the ghosts were tied to his regrets. Chuck loved English class, and one day he asked his teacher about the line, "I am large, I contain multitudes. She explained that a person is shaped by all their experiences and emotions, and that their mental world ends with death. We then learn that the apocalyptic world shown earlier was actually Chuck's inner world, which ended when he died. Months later, Grandma passes away suddenly. Grandpa's alcoholism worsens. One night, Chuck finds the cupola keys but is stopped by his grandfather, who sees something terrifying inside. Later, Chuck joins a school dance club in memory of his grandmother. Though gifted, he is pushed toward math by his grandfather, who believes art doesn't pay. At the school dance, Chuck almost gives up but ultimately chooses joy over fear. His performance is praised, and he realizes that life should be lived doing what brings peace. Years later, Grandpa dies, and Chuck eventually opens the cupola himself. Inside, he sees his own future death. Instead of despair, Chuck decides to live fully, repeating the line, "I am large and I contain multitudes." He lives his life with meaning, believing people would remember him and thank him for his wonderful 39 years. And with that belief, the story comes to an end.